이게 오라.
Peace, peace. Mic check, mic check. Alright, we about to get started, y'all. Yep.
Hello everyone. Hello.
Yes. Yep. Canarsie, Brooklyn, it's about to start. Alright, thanks. It's actually started.
Okay, that's what I said.
No,
I don't
that
mind
didn't
calling you.
No. That's the ideal thing. Yeah.
Peace. All right, bring it in. We're about to get started. Bring it in. Peace, good afternoon everybody. Thank you for coming out. First we want to start off with a moment of silence for Jamere and all those we lost to gun violence in Canarsie this year. When I say stop shooting, you say cure violence. Stop shooting.
Cure violence.
Stop shooting.
Cure violence.
Stop shooting.
Cure violence.
Stop shooting.
Cure violence.
Stop shooting.
Cure violence.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate everyone for coming out today. Thank you to ManUp. Thank you to all the electeds. Thank you to CCD, EFV, everyone for showing up today. Look, the message is real clear and simple. We need to stop the violence in Canarsie. We need to stop the violence in our neighborhoods. We lost an 18-year-old just last month. And the amount of people we lost this year is unjust. So look, if we stop the violence, it's one thing. But we also have to bring in the groups that's gonna do the intervention work, that's gonna do the mediation. We need a cure violence group in Canarsie. If you can hold up this sign real quick, look at that. That's all the cure violence sites that's in the city right now. Tell me why we don't have one in Canarsie. Tell me why we don't have one in Canarsie. It's unacceptable. These people behind me, they're miracle workers. They come into the community and they stop the violence before it happens. They intervene, they mediate. They don't come around and do presses after the violence. They stop it before it even happens. And the sad thing, the media doesn't really cover that. The media comes out when someone gets shot. You'll see them all out here. But when these people right here, I know every day they stop shootings, but the media doesn't want to cover that. So we're here today to say no more. Canarsie is going to get a cure violence site, and we're here to demand from our elected officials, from the government, to fully fund a cure violence site in the 6-9 precinct. Can we make some noise? So look, we're joined here today by Sherly, president of the Bayview Tenant Association right here. Cheryl, thank you so much. Been Tenant Association president for over a decade, putting in work in the community. We're also joined by Pat, the grandmother of Jamere, who lost his life just last month. But first we want to bring up our new incoming city council member, Narcisse, who's been in this community doing work for years and years and years. And we hope we can partner with you, Mercedes, to bring in the cure violence group in Canarsie and stop the shooting and stop having babies dying in our neighborhood. Can we give it up for Mercedes?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Jibreel, for putting this together. I appreciate you. When young men are doing the work and all the young women that's standing to say stop the violence in our community, first and foremost, we should not be talking about stopping the violence. We should be talking about how much resources that we have in our community in the first place. It is unfortunate that we have to talk about it. Jamere had to lost his life. Grandma, I want to say, I understand. I cannot be saying like I understand fully, but I understand a little bit. For you to be standing there, I cannot even understand half of the suffering, the heartache that you're having, you're going through right now. No one, no child should lose their life against gun violence. None. And I'm sorry for your pain. Whatever I can do to going forward to make sure that we don't lose any more lives, that's what I want to do. I've been in this community since I was a teenager. This is my home. This is the place that made me who I am today. If I'm the city council member today, it's because you guys from this housing came out to vote for me. So I know what's going on here. And I made a promise, and I'm gonna keep my promise. My promise is to see a better community. The community that I came in when I was 17 years. I wanna see better programs. When I mean by better programs for our kids, to make sure they don't get involved in any gun activity whatsoever. Like I always said, we don't have no manufacturer here. We just happen to be the victim of underserved, underprivileged community. Can we do better? Sure, then we can do better. And going forward, I'll be here every second, every day to work with the community, to work with the parents, to bring solution to the problems. I truly believe in every problem there is a solution. We are looking for the solution. We need a care violence right now group to be here to address the issues that we're facing today. But later on, I'm looking forward to convert it to better program in our community, to have sports for all, to making sure that our kids have better after-school program. We have a center right there at Shore Parkway. We want to use that for our children. We want to make sure the children feel welcome. We don't want them to get in trouble. Then we don't talk about what can I do. Crime issue don't occur in silos. It's a combination of different issues. Housing issues, education issues, healthcare issues. So we need to address that. So I'm here to support. I have been on the street with my friend here, my sister here, Monique, Chandler-Waterman, in East Flatbush Village. It's wrong. For every child that falls, we crying. We say, what can we do? Why there is so many crimes? And so many other wonderful groups that doing the work. I don't want to miss any, but T, you know I know you. You've been doing the work for many years. Mental, you've been up for them. So I'm here to serve. I'm here to support any care violence group that doing the work, that willing to test the challenge that we're facing and uplift our young folks to make sure we give them something better to look for. Not violence. We don't need a gun. It is time to stop. And we, the people of Canarsie, gonna stand together. And I promise you, you're not gonna live to regret it to give me that vote. Because I'm here for you. I'm here to support. I'm here to address every issue, to work with our council group, to work with the 69 precinct, everyone that involved. Everyone that involved. I want to hear from you. It's breaking my heart as a mother of 4 children, grow up in this area to see what's going on. I'm here to serve. And I want to see all the reporters. Thank you for giving us the time to bring the issues in the forefront. And we are here to address it. So may God help us. This community gonna be a better community than ever before, and that's my promise. To God be the glory. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. Give it up for our incoming council member. When I say stop shooting, you say kill violence. Stop shooting.
Kill violence.
Stop shooting.
Kill violence.
Stop shooting.
Kill violence.
Stop shooting.
Kill violence.
Before I bring up Cheryl, who's the Tenant Association president for Bayview, and Miss Pat, who's the grandmother of Jamere, I just want to, share a fact with everyone here of the importance of having a care violence site. I was just speaking to AT, and they have a catchment area. And the catchment area, just so you know, is one of those blue lines on the map. They get funding to cover an area. And one of the catchment area, they went a whole year without one shooting. A whole year without one shooting. That is incredible. That is incredible. That's the worst. A whole 365 days without one shooter. I can't turn on the TV one day and not see a shooter. So imagine if we had the funding for care violence the whole city. We can have a city if we have the work, the type of level of work that ManUp is putting there without one shooter for the whole year. Come on now. So I want to bring up the president of Bayview Tenant Association and Miss Pat the grandmother of Jamere Jones. Please give it up.
Good afternoon. I attended Jamere's funeral a week and a half ago. And I tell you, there was hundreds and hundreds of people at that funeral, mostly who were our youth. And the fact that there were that many people there is a testament to what type of person Jibreel was and what type of upbringing he got from his family, including his grandmother. I wish there were more young people here to hear this message. But I believe in keeping things 100 with everybody. It's not going to do any good to try to avenge Jamere's death. It's just going to keep the violence going. So if you want to pay tribute to this young man and all the other young men we lost here in Bayview, this year, Lefty was shot and killed point blank range back in May. If you want to pay tribute to these youth, then find a cause, a positive cause. If you can't find one, start it yourself. Miss Pat and I will stand beside you. We'll walk with you. We'll support you. We'll do whatever we have to do to help you in a positive, progressive cause. And I beg of you, please, all you young people who are in earshot of what I'm saying, please, do not let Jamere's death be in vain. Thank you. Hi everyone. I appreciate each and everybody that's here. I don't have no written speech. I'm not gonna sugarcoat nothing. I just want you guys to know it hurts. It hurts so bad. 18 years old. My grandson just graduated from high school. After Thanksgiving, my grandson goes to college. He has a twin. His twin is going to college, but he's behind. I don't even know. I just know that he's wrong. There's a lot of parents, there's a lot of mothers, fathers, grandmothers that has lost someone, and I could not tell them how I feel, but I can tell them now. It hurts so bad. He's young. He ain't even start no life. He ain't start no life. There's so much success out here, and he was on his way to success. On his way to success. My grandson was in the hospital from October the 15th, fighting. He was fighting a gunshot wound. Came out, hit him in the back, came out the stomach. He was fighting up until November the 11th. We lost him to the gunshot wound. I'm just asking all of the young people and old people too, please get rid of them guns. There's so much success out here that you guys can be into. There's a lot of different opportunities. If you need a helping hand, let us know. Let us know. We can help you try to find something. Don't always think because you smoke weed you can't get a job. You can get a job. You just gotta stop smoking the damn weed. But I just want to say one thing. I miss my grandson. I love my grandson. And for the future, I hope that these young people please just put the guns down. Non-violence is what's up. Non-violence. So please, just do that for me and for your parents too. Thank you. Oh, this is my son, Jibreel. My grandson. I call him my son, but it's my grandson, 18 years old. All right, thank you.
Thank you so much. Give it up again, please. Pat said something, very powerful. I just want us to echo it again. Put the guns down. Put the guns down. Put the guns down. Thank you. And we definitely, the commitment here, the people here is that we all stand with you, Pat. We all stand with you, Sherly. And we're not going to forget, we're going to keep working with Bayview to make sure we don't lose no one else to gun violence. Thank you. Next we want to call up the assembly member who represents this neighborhood, who's been putting in work, who's been putting in funding. I think she put over $200,000 into EFV, and want to acknowledge that and say if we appreciate that. Assemblymember Jaime Williams, please come up. Thank you.
Thank you. And as the poster said, enough is enough. Enough is enough. Let's hear it again. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Thank you. No more gun violence. Miss Pat, my heart feels for you. Cheryl, thank you for coming out here and always being the great advocate that you are for Bayview. And, you know, when someone gets shot, guess what? It's not just the family. It's the community that hurts. It's the community that hurts. And I commend ManUp for coming out here today, but I am so proud to say also that this year, myself, Senator Persaud, Assemblymember Nick Perry, first time ever was able to fund over $200,000 at East Flatbush Village to bring those services to Canarsie, in which they have been occupying the corner from Glenwood to Bayview housing, and we are here today. And listen, there's always room for more, right? ManUp, I've known you many, many years, many moons ago. I know the work that you do. And with the amount of gun violence, guess what? We need everyone to work together, right? Enough is enough. We also have our clergy council that they occupy the corner as well. Listen, it takes a community, because when a shooting occurs, the community hurts, the family hurts. So we're here together today to denounce the act of gun violence. Thank you.
Thank you, Assemblymember. Next, I want to bring up the General, the Lieutenant, A.T. Mitchell, who's been doing this work for over a decade. You know, he was on the City Council task force that helped bring CMS to New York City. So we want to pay this brother as much respect as we can, and he's been a pioneer in this movement. He's been a pioneer in care violence, and want to salute that and want to bring him up to the mic. We're honored to have you here, A.T. Thank you so much.
So I'm going to be very brief. I want to respect the time, and my condolences to the family and to the whole community of Bayview. As been mentioned, you know, ManUp Inc. is no stranger to this unfortunate issue. So when I speak alongside my colleagues and my comrades. As mentioned, East Flatbush Village, my comrades at Community Capacity Development, CCD, and so many other of our organizations that work this line of work day in and day out. You know, we are men and women that represent the community. And so when you hear of a kill violence site, the thing that people fail to realize is that it brings jobs to the housing areas where the need is most. We bring on individuals who normally have difficulty finding employment, and we give them purpose, we give them meaning, and we give them direction, and then they turn out to do the amazing work. And so I'm standing not by myself, but alongside other men and women that are brave, and taking nothing away from the police department, but these men and women don't have vests or guns or shields, yet they're still out here working the same troubled areas day in and day out. And they don't get the credit that they deserve. And in order for us to expand our work and to continue, and I commend the elected officials, all of which who have been advocating on behalf of this movement to make sure that funding constantly comes into our communities, it's still not enough. You know, we are only able to keep our boots on the ground for just one shift a day. One day, 8 hours a day, that's it. After the 8-hour shift, we have to, you know, clock out, and unfortunately the rest of the 16 hours of the day, we have to leave the neighborhood because we don't have the funding yet. So with the collectiveness of what we have here, because when gun violence does raise its head, nobody's safe. And it takes everybody, every single body to participate in making sure that we prevent these tragedies from happening. And so hopefully, you know, the advocacy will continue, and we will continue to pour more money into these neighborhoods like Bayview. This is a beautiful community. I'm from Brooklyn, and so I'm not a stranger to Bayview. Houses across the piers right there. And for anybody that ever comes this way, they gotta pass this housing development. Coming off the highway or whatever, this is a beautiful, beautiful community. And unfortunately, we are back here again because of tragedy. So I'm going to just voice that if there's anything that we can do, as you've seen demonstrated, we come from East New York. We actually are in the 69th precinct. We're over in the Brookline area, part of Canarsie. We come from Bedford, Stuyvesant, and Brownsville, but we'll come back again if we need to this part to help you in your area if you call on us, okay? Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you so much, Brother AP. We only have about 3-4 more speakers, and we'll wrap up, but that doesn't mean the work stops. Because we're here to, again, denounce the violence that's happening in our community and make sure Canarsie has a fully funded care violence site stationed in the 6-9 precinct. Next, I want to bring up Brother Eric Waterman, who's been doing the work. Without as much funding, the work almost always exceeds the funding because the work is endless, as he will share. And we want to salute EFB because they've been in Canarsie. They've been right on this corner actually, occupying the corner. But we want to have it where we have more resources so we don't have to occupy the corner after a shooting, but we can occupy the corner and bring jobs and resources. So EFB, please come up. Thank you.
Jibreel, thank you very much. First and foremost, my condolences to the family. A life was lost. I can't imagine what that feels like, and nobody wants to imagine what that feels like, but we here as a community are here to support you and uplift you. The work that we can do to uplift you is to make sure not another life is lost due to gun violence. And that takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of people working together. I first and foremost want to thank Senator Persaud, Assemblywoman Jamie Williams, Assemblymember Nick Perry, because they were seeing the work that we were doing pretty much throughout the city without funding to make sure that we were able to bring that to Canarsie. The name of the organization, my name is Eric Waterman as introduced. The name of the organization is East Flatbush Village. Most people go, East Flatbush, what you doing in Canarsie, or what you doing in East New York, or what you doing in any part of Brooklyn? East Flatbush is just the location in which we were formed. The work we do travels everywhere because the work we do is to partner with people like ManUp. We've been out here doing Occupy the Corner. We were out here with Captain Richards out here doing Occupy the Corner all the way, not only Bayview houses, but over in Brookline houses as well. We've been up and down the Flatlands corridor in the 80s, up and down, all the way through all the way down Rockwood, but in the entire area. But it wasn't about patting ourselves on the back or saying this is great work. It was about preventing gun violence. Brother AT just talked about jobs that are being created. It's not only about the resources and the jobs, it's also about bringing people together around something that we realize and we know is a plague in our community, and combating and pushing back against that, and educating as well. There's a lot of resources that come with having a crisis management site, but there's a lot of politics too. There's a lot of politics. And Brother AT just talked about 8 hours. Guess what? We need more hours. We need to be on the ground 24/7. We need to have more resources. The trigger, we have our anti-violence initiative for East Flatbush Village is Enough initiative. The Enough Anti-Violence Initiative, which focuses on educating the community, which focuses on flooding resources in the area. We did that and we have continued to do that and we will continue to do that. But we can't, I hate this assemblies. I hate this. I can't stand this. Because what this means is that we have to respond to a life either lost or lives impacted by gun violence. So I applaud everybody for coming out because we need this, but we don't need it like this. We don't need all the youth out at funerals. We need the youth out in the streets like we had during the summer, in the hot summer months, in the hot spots in Brooklyn, to make sure that they were preventing gun violence in their own community. We need to make them stakeholders in the efforts in their own community to prevent gun violence. And so the work needs to continue. We do need a crisis management site. We need an expansive crisis management site, not just one that's limited to the blue lines of a catchment zone. Because the bullets don't have blue lines.
That's right.
The bullets don't have names. They don't have streets or corridors by which they travel. They impact community over community over community, and just because a life was lost in Canarsie does not mean it didn't have an impact in Brownsville, in East Flatbush, in Sheepshead Bay, or any part of Brooklyn. It all matters. It's all relative. It's our people. It's our community. We need to come together, remove the politics, find ways to get funding to organizations like East Flatbush Village, and I gotta say it because that's my role. That's my role, is to make sure that we have funding and spaces to be able to continue to work. We've been doing this for over 10 years, and I'm tired, I'm sick and tired of being at events like this. I love seeing my brothers and sisters, just not like this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Powerful, powerful, powerful. Give it up, give it up, give it up. We touched on a lot of important things.
Yes.
You know, we here in Canarsie today saying we need a site because, you know, unfortunately the blue lines, I mean, we don't have a catchment area. But, you know, what happens in Canarsie still reverberates citywide. And I don't want to get out my head of myself talking about we need a citywide, you know, care violent site. I'll say that for another day, but regardless of the politics, you know, we need one in Canarsie, dire. I can't tell you how much it pains me waking up and seeing someone just got shot at the Popeyes that's right around my corner. We have murals in Canarsie of people we lost. We don't need that. We need murals of the greats. We need murals of something more uplifting. I hate walking around my neighborhood and see murals of a face that, oh, that looks familiar. That looks like someone I knew from my junior high. I don't want those type of murals in my community. We have to honor those lives lost, but we also have to fight to prevent that. So next I want to bring up State Senator Roxanne Persaud, who's represented this community for a long time and been talking about stopping the violence in our community for a long time. And we want to salute and respect that. Give it up, give it up.
Thank you, Jibreel. Ms. Pat, my condolences to you and your family, and Cheryl, thank you for everything you're doing. You know, it's great that we're having everybody out here today to talk about gun violence, but it shouldn't be one day that we're talking about gun violence. It should be a collective effort of people coming together genuinely to make sure we're denouncing what occurs in our community. That's what it will take for us to eradicate the scourge of gun violence in our community. So that's why we work together, Assemblymember Williams and I, and Assemblymember Perry, and also our current council member and our congress member, to ensure that we're bringing funds to the community. And it's not only about bringing funds, it's about bringing people together to talk about what are the needs of the community. Too often as elected officials, we put money and think we know exactly what can be done to eradicate the problem that we're facing. But we haven't spoken with the community, and that's what we've been doing. Trying to speak with the community, the ones who are willing to step up and tell us what the needs are, and so that we can approach the outcomes based on the needs of the people who are most affected. So we will continue to work with all of the organizations who are here today. You know, I've known ManUp, AT and his team doing great work. And so when we talked about funding another organization who had already been doing work right here in Canarsie, we made sure we were going to fund East Flatbush Village. Because East Flatbush Village, for us, they had been working with us. We also funded the 69 Precinct Clergy Council to ensure that they were also a part of the solution in the community. So it's not only just the organizations you see here today, it's the organizations that you don't see, the ones who are there. And yes, we're not only coming on the corners and reacting, we have to be there always so that we prevent the violence from occurring in our community. And you know, the sign says right there, not another child. Not another child. Each of us should, when we're walking around, have that thought in our head. Not another child. What should we be doing collectively so that we say, not another child, and really mean it, and make sure that that takes effect. So Ms. Pat, again, my condolences to you and your family. And the gun, it says, the sign says, stop gun violence. Most people don't know, but about 25 years ago, my young cousin was about 16 years old. He was shot and killed in New Jersey. He was just walking by and caught in a gunfire. I mean,
so happened the bullet pierced attested to the testament that he had in his pocket. So, you know, God took him, but he's covered. So I know what occurs to families when there's a gun violence issue. So it's nothing new to me. So we are committed to working together. Anyone who wants to work with us, we are committed to working because this is our community and we must take care of our community. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you, Senator Persaud. Start two speakers and then we'll wrap up. I want to bring up Monique Chandler-Waterman, who represents Assemblyman Chandler-Waterman, who represents the Assemblyman Nick Perry's office. Thank you.
Thank you so much for organizing this. What can I say? As a mother of four who have an 18-year-old son, I'm truly sorry. And I know that none of us could put ourselves in your position or your family's position, but the reason why I started doing the work I do for everyone's kids, the community kids. When something happens in the community, it affects all of us, as we said here. It's a community trauma, the victim, but the trigger is pulled before the trigger is pulled when we don't have resources in our community. So people see the physical part of that, but what leads to that? So my name is Monique Chandler-Waterman. I'm a community advocate. I've been working in the community well over 10 years, fighting against gun violence because a 9-year-old boy was shot in my block. I went to my 11th junior high school when there was an issue. My brother came out and guns was involved, and I said that's not the way to go. So at 11 and 13 years old, he went to their house, he took me with them. He spoke to the parents at 13 years old because we was parentified, because we didn't have the resources. My mother had to work 3 and 4 jobs as a single mom. So the trigger could have been pulled physically there, but it was there metaphorically because we didn't have the resources. So that's why I started doing the gun violence work. And as I have 4 children, as I mentioned, what will the world look like for my 4 children? I had to start thinking that way as well. And sometimes we are very selfish, like we say, it's not my child, it's not my area, my kids are good. Your kids have to walk to the train station, your kids have to go to school, and if you create a safe hallway for everybody's children, guess what? By default, your child is taken care of. So when you just remove politics out of this, I will talk about my work with the Assemblymember. Let's remove the politics out of this work. People who's on the ground doing the work should get the funding. That has not happened in a real way. And when we started East Flatbush Village Inc., I'm the founder as well of that, there was no money and there was no funding. There was just passion, heart, and a mother. And you know how it is when a mother, right, want to get something done. We get it done. No disrespect to the men. But I was going to let you know that when a mother's out there, and thank you for Mercedes Narcisse, who also have 4 children, that was out there on the streets with me as well. We need to really hold people accountable. We need to remove the politics. We need to be our brothers and sisters keepers. And we need to make sure that everybody is included when this work is being done. And that has not happened in a real way. And people know what I'm talking about when I'm saying it. So once we get that done, because why can't we start gun violence? Why is there so much guns? We have the power to do a lot of stuff. Why? Let's think about that. Because there's a lot of gun advocates in people's pockets. Let's be real about what's going on. So let's get the funds together, get it in our community, and pour into community. I work for Assemblymember Nick Perry as a special assistant. He did believe in the work that we were doing on the streets. He did see what was happening, and he, Assemblymember Jaime Williams, Senator Persaud, they all came together and said, you know what? City Council have left y'all off. City Council has not put funding into the programs and to certain organizations, but we're going to make sure we step up. So I thank y'all from the bottom of our heart, along with the Assemblyman Nick Perry, who couldn't be here today, but wanted to make sure I was here to represent that, not only from his office as a community advocate and a sister in the struggle, and who's been doing the work, and a mother of 4 that's going to continue doing the work beyond any title. The most important title we have is we're human beings. And no one should have to go through this. So resources. So we are doing something called the East Flatbush Safety Alliance that was put on by 69 Peaston, Inspector Anderson, who used to be here, went to Brownsville, and he started the Brownsville Safety Alliance. I've been working with him. We brought it to East Flatbush Safety Alliance, and we're going to bring it to Canarsie Safety Alliance with everybody. And the reason why it's called a Safety Alliance, because it's an alliance between everyone.
So when people come together, it's not anybody's title, put down the titles, put down the egos. It's about doing the work. So we got unions that's coming out, giving jobs, and making sure people know. It's mental health, resources is out there. So unfortunately, when this happened, it's the victim and the shooter. Both families are losing. Both families are victims. But unfortunately, it may not be that person's fault. But it's their problem to deal with when they sit in that jail cell. So we get ahead of this. Stop judging parents. When you see kids on the corner, stop judging. You don't know what that parent had to do, 3 or 4 jobs. And now, Bloods and Crips and the other gangs had to watch their kids while they went to work. Let's talk about that. Why is the rent so high? Let's talk about that. There's a lot of issues that lead to gun violence, and it's not something that we can just solve by just putting a Band-Aid on. You have to get deep rooted in it to the beginning. As an immigrant coming here, it shouldn't be so much red flags when it comes to immigration. So now I got to do a sleeping job 3 or 4 days out of the week. Who's watching my children? Let's talk about that. There's so many housing. There's so many things. So all I can say is I'm deeply sorry for this. We're going to continue working. We have a mother support group. There's Mothers for Safe City. Because what happens after everybody's gone, the lights and cameras, who's working on this task? And thank you so much for boy. Who's working with her? Who's working with the kids in your family? Who's working with families? So P.O.W.E.R will cover all of that, right? A.T. Mitchell, who's covering? This is case planning. There's social workers to be involved. So we talk about fun. Let's get to the deep-rooted issue of it, because now we need to make sure she's whole. We have to make sure that she has the programs that she needs as well. So when we talk about pure violence, we need to be really at the table, making sure every part is handled. And then lastly, I would say, and everybody that's out here that's experiencing the trauma of every time you got to respond to a shooting, who's dealing with y'all? Because then we need mental health services for you too. AT, I call you 2 o'clock in the morning. Thank you so much. I was like, we gotta come. We got a child that's lost and he was out there. But mentally, that takes a lot of toll. So mental health has to be included. And thank you so much to the elected officials once again. Thank you so much, Mercedes Narcisse, my sister, who's been out there, who before she was even elected, she was out there to learn and see what was happening. So when she comes to her community, she has that understanding in a deeper way and continue understanding. So I hope I didn't leave anybody out. But thank you everybody here for this about our kids, and we're going to continue working on this pack, and we're going to talk about what's needs, and we can set you up with a support group right now that can help with some services. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we bring up our last speaker, want to also acknowledge CCD's here. Make some noise, CCD founders, Bain, Community Capacity Development. Been doing a lot of good work there. Human Justice Group, right? Human Justice. Shout out to Human Justice. So last speaker we're bringing up is Keron Alleyne here representing Operation Power. He's the co-chair, and he can share, what Operation Power is about. And he's been in East New York doing a lot of work, and we'd love to have him come up right now and share some words.
Thank you so much, Jibreel, for having me. Before I start, I want to say my deepest condolences to Bayview Houses community, Ms. Pat. We all stand with you. I feel like this circle, of course, is extremely symbolic of how we're wrapping our arms around you and going to be with you. As Jibreel said, I'm the co-chair, one of the co-chairs of Operation Power, social justice organization based out in East New York. And it seems like everybody came all across the city to be here and to support you. Coming from the East, my brothers and sisters in ManUp, Inc. So I don't just see them at unfortunate events like this. I see them when they have holiday parties. I see them when they're with the young people in Junior High School 166. I see them at community board meetings. They are everywhere. They make sure that the idea of curing violence is not just showing up when these things happen. It's everything that happens in between. And I just want to double back. My brothers and sisters, there are sisters that are in ManUp Inc. And they're out there as well, on the front lines. This is not just a man's work. This is a woman's work as well. It's the community's work. It's grandmother's work. I'm gonna share one thing. So, 18 years ago, Deshaun Hill was killed. by gun violence. That's how ManUp Inc. was founded. I wasn't all the way aware of the actual date. I was on Instagram like other young people, and I was scrolling, and Deshaun Hill's mother is one of my Instagram friends, and she posted and shared a message that I don't think most of us think about 18 years into the future. But it's been 18 years since she lost her baby boy. And she said to everyone else, this is just a normal day. To me, I go through the exact turmoil that I went through that day again. All I want to do is hear him again. The work we do, unfortunately, never brings the person back. But it saves so many. It saves so many. And that is extremely hard to quantify. Which is why I think there's so much politics about how much money to put into these organizations, when there shouldn't be that. I'm happy to see Senator Persaud. I'm happy to see Assemblywoman Jaime Williams. I'm happy to see the Councilwoman-elect, because they heard, they saw. They have to be held accountable to make sure that the coffers of the state and the city fund these organizations. You know, this is not fun. We don't like doing it, but it's necessary work. When we come here, we do this stuff, it's to prove that this is not normal. It's the community saying this is not normal, this is not what we want. We come together to speak about what we want. When these events happen, I always make sure I bring my family. Because this ain't about how we can twist and spice up words to make people say, ooh, ah, yeah, this is what we need. It's not about that. It's about protecting those that you love. And protecting those that you love are your neighbors. Protecting those that you love are the people up and down the street that you might see and never say a word to, might give a head nod to. We have to do better. And Jibreel, you know, a part of it's fun to floss, right? Fun to floss. So a part of the reason, you know, to answer the question that comes with this press conference, why isn't there organization? Why don't they have enough funding? You know, it goes back to, what do we do in between these things? This organization is essentially the mouthpiece, a new mouthpiece to the many voices that have been here, that have been doing the work. And I want to commend Fund the Flossy for that, for putting the local government know-how, connecting it to the issues, and making sure that all of us are organized to make something happen with it. So thank you, Jibreel.
Thank you, brother Keron. Thank you. And we not just fund the flossy, there's also fund nights. That's something we gotta uplift and make sure people know. It's not just fund the flossy, it's not just fund the kid violence side. Monique talked about it eloquently. It's the mental health services, it's the wraparound services. There's a lot more than just having the kid violence site. I don't want to fool nobody. It's very, very important that we get a kid violence site ASAP, but that's not going to solve all the issues in Canarsie. But that's for another time, another place. I want to thank everyone for coming out. I want to thank especially Cheryl and Pat for coming out. And like Keron said, Pat, we're with you, Cheryl, we're with you. Yes.
I see a man like jumping out of cars, jumping out of cars. I was like, whoa. Actually come out for me like that? No, I love you guys. I love you. The support is fantastic. And I'm real proud of y'all for this is I'm real proud of y'all, okay? But I want to appreciate everyone else. I don't know anybody's name, but I do want to appreciate everybody on community affairs. Thank you. I want to appreciate everybody that came out and yo, listen. It's really overwhelming to see you guys out with the support. I get full like that. But it's you guys at my list of June last week, it was over 700 people there. It came deep. And the majority was teenagers. And I said a little something, hoping that they could listen to what I said. I said it at the funeral also. And I ain't over to tell them to put the guns at it. They didn't want to take it to the precinct or to the fireplace. So I told them to throw it in the deepest part of the lake.
Thank you so much, Ms. Pat. Can we give it up one more time, please? Please, give it up, give it up, give it up. No one knows that pain, and it's, you know, the strength can't even comprehend to come out and stand here and talk about, you know, stopping the violence, you know, to shout out. Just before we wrap, just want to make the chant heard loud and clear once more. And again, just to be clear, I'm here in my personal capacity as a resident in Canarsie, so I don't get myself or anyone here else in trouble. But just one more time, so Eric Adams hears it when he gets in, everyone hears it when he gets into office, when he gets sworn in. I'm happy to have the council member here when she gets sworn in to get the work done. When I say stop shooting, you say cure violence. Stop shooting! Cure violence! 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 Thank you, thank you, thank you. We're gonna do one quick group picture right here with everybody. If folks can come in, I don't know if the Assemblymember wants to come in. We're gonna do one quick group picture. Thank you for coming out. Thank you at ManUp, CCD.